instance, the first 5 or 7 years, they didn't give out any per capitas
Yeah,
to
she
anyone.
said that, yeah,
They allowed that to build up
Right.
and build up and build up.
yeah.
We've been cash poor
Yeah.
for
Right.
years now.
Right.
And we just had an elder stipend that went out, and that's a challenge that you have to have. Like you
Right.
need to build up that nest egg first before you can start giving out dividends. That's what I think. And
We've been
we
waiting
should
for Bill
follow
Bay
you know.
since Bill Bay was put there. And
Yeah,
CTEC.
well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of challenges. Our businesses should have.
I think the
Hindsight's
Cobble
2020. We should have made better casinos. We should have done that, but we didn't. We are where we are right now.
I think maybe the Cobble Tribal Council just needs to take over and do away with CTEC.
They did at CTFC.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know that the council is making the best decisions right now either, so
Well, you could have an organization, couldn't you, or a group that would be continuous, just like someone that you know that you
We need
can.
to get
They call
council
it-
out of
Part of-
CTEC
They
board.
call it on the outside, hiring a manager.
It's not that I'm against that, but I think the communication's
And then
not
let him do
there or
those,
something.
do the business end of it. It's oversight management. And
I have a question for everybody.
Okay.
We actually have 3 council people on the board of directors for CTFC. Okay? That means, I'm not gonna go into my perception. All I want to ask is, I would like people's input because we are going to be taking some action here pretty soon regarding the fact that the board, some of these board positions are up. And some of us on council believe that council should not be on the board of directors. And some of us will have a fight with some that believe that council should be on it. So I would like to ask what is your opinion? Do you think council should be on the CTFC board of directors? I'm
Is it
sorry.
just is there a committee to go with that board for CTFC?
No, it's a board of directors.
So there's
Actually,
no actual committee with, that's why I'm asking.
No,
'Cause
the committee is the board of
That's
directors.
the entire-
That's the policymakers, those are the ones who make business decisions. They're the ones who recommend to the council, they're the ones.
I'll tell you why you shouldn't have a councilman on there, is a conflict of interest.
Exactly.
And the one, I mean, there's so many
Hold on, I'm gonna
variations.
put my little speaker up, because I want y'all to say it real loud.
There's so many variations that get involved there. It could be finance, it could be family, it could be politics. It could be
It's all of that.
anything could impact what's going on down there. And the reason I got the hell out of there, get off your board, is because you have to have somebody there that understands what the hell management really is. And you always have to have a focal point. And all the time I was down there, we could never fire the manager and put him in that damn place, so I could never get I couldn't stick my nose into certain things. I certainly have the background, and I could have. But I didn't because it's not my right as a board of directors to start micromanaging.
Right.
So,
But council was, right? Council was micromanaging, right?
yeah, that's why I got the hell out of there,
That's right.
because you had those people
That's
coming
right.
down there and then saying things that didn't, I'd make a point of, talking about unit costs and manpower rates and stuff like that, and they didn't know what the hell I was talking about. And so you have people coming off the board that never been there and done that type of thing. You have to work for a corporation that have done those things. And so you got these councilmen coming down there running their mouth off, and they didn't know a damn thing about tracking costs. And so I just give up in frustration.
I'm glad you brought up conflict of interest. In the last year that we've been on council, Lynn and John and I have witnessed the conflict of interest, and I'm glad you brought up family.
Damn right.
When these councilmen go down to them board meetings, and we had three current council that were on the board, they were actually making decisions. They're okay, so do I make this decision that benefits the business arm, the federal corporation, or do I make a decision that benefits the tribe? And I'll guarantee you almost every decision that I've heard about after the fact was made to benefit the corporation and not the tribe. So there's your conflict of interest.
I would say there's also decisions being made that's gonna benefit my personal business. as well.
families.
That's
There's
the
so many
family,
different
yeah. So
impacts.
there's family, there's.
We could sit and have a
business,
meeting
yeah.
here, and we could make one hell of a list of those impacts.
Right.
Yeah,
But-
yeah.
Listen,
It is.
question.
I just
Liz.
wanted to know how many are on the board.
We had three,
We have the majority
No,
of
I don't
it.
mean just the council, I mean the
there's
total.
five,
Five.
five total.
Okay.
So then you have 3 councilmen which can sway the votes?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
So
That's what
that
happens.
doesn't, that's not right?
Oh, it's not right, but we were talking about this today, and that's probably why.
We're
Lynn's
trying,
bringing
yeah.
it up.
Let's
I want-
change it.
I'm actually, we are really having some struggles, us three are having some real struggles, and we're trying to like address them, and tonight, I feel it's important enough to ask you all. You know, I've heard, some of the elders speak about this to us in the gymnasium over at the center, about, you know, council should not be there. And I wanted to get a reinforcement tonight, so that when we go and make our decision, and we're gonna be strong with our position, that at least we could.
Can I make another suggestion too? You need somebody sitting on a board of directors with my type of background. I got a hell of a diverse
Yeah,
background.
that's what we're saying, that's what we're saying. We need
And
experts.
the end result of that is, I've tracked billion-dollar projects, and I've never been in trouble one time, period. And I've never went to a court action on those projects, I've never lost one either, I've always had good task force teams. So I know what the hell's going on, I know what you need down there, and you're not gonna be able to function good until you get those type of people sitting on your board of directors.
Exactly,
Are
that's
you
all we're
offering
asking.
your service? 'Cause
I would go back down if they get to have a good manager down there, but, you know, when I say good manager, don't mean that I'm saying the person that's down there isn't not qualified, but him and I just don't get along.
Who's the CEO down there?
Joseph Coder.
He's still there?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because he argues too quick with me, he never listens.
Okay, so a couple other things, I know it's getting late, a couple other things I wanted to discuss is one, I was notified today that the Tribal Trails is working on expansion. They're supposed to add more to it, they're talking a burger joint, they're talking on bringing in Denny's, and they're also talking on putting a roof over the back truck fuel pumps. The other thing that I wanted to bring to the surface is I'm not sure how many of you in this room supported the $40 million admin building resolution that was passed last year. And just for the record, Lynn and John and I weren't able to vote. So we've been fighting that. That's one of the loudest screams we've been hearing from the membership, is why do you gotta build this Taj Mahal and blah, blah, blah. And so we've been strategizing and figuring out how we could get control back from that resolution, because we there's no doubt, we know we need an admin building, but we don't think we need to.
Where's Brooks at? He's the guy, remember I told you I'd throw him underneath the truck. You know,
Only thing I'll say about is that I think he's in Vegas, but I'm sure of it. That's all I'll say. Okay, but
Who's this Brooke?
Oh, Snina.
Snina?
Ernest.
Oh, he's down to, oh.
so anyways,
He's with
and
my.
I'm not gonna say there was any ties to that picture or not.
Oh, God.
No, that's not. I don't know.
I've
But-
said it- I've said it earlier.
I know,
We
you guys should tell me to hit pause sometimes.
We don't
I
have
have
anything
some
to hide.
opinions I'd like to say. I don't think you need the size of building you got, that is a Taj Mahal.
It is.
You know, and being an engineer, I asked them pretty specific questions to the architects and the engineers and all of the businessmen they had with them there. And I'm looking at this thing, it's a monument to certain people over there. It's not something we really need.
Okay, so I'll finish my story.
Okay.
So, we were outnumbered on this last year. The resolution was snuck through while we were at language conference at Northern Quest. We caught wind of it the night before. Lynn drove back, weathered the storm, made it back a little bit late. There's a whole different story on what happened to John and why he wasn't able to vote as the chairman, and
Don't walk
you know,
out, whatever
John
it is.
can probably
For a
explain that.
second.
I don't really
No,
know.
I remember I said.
Okay,
Right.
so anyways, we were outnumbered. Six people made that $40 million decision. Okay, so we've been struggling with that, fighting it. We had arguments at the table. We spoke our opinion loud and clear. New council come on. We decided, well, you know, Some of you championed that we didn't need a $40 million admin building, so we went and talked to them, kind of in private. And Tuesday of this week, and Community Development Committee, we actually rescinded that resolution.
All right.
Yay!
Finally!
I did sit in on a meeting, and what's going right on now, the amount of work that those people have put into it, you guys are gonna have to cut that off and say, don't continue doing any more work till we make up our minds to what the hell we want.
That's exactly what happened.
I got your answer, okay?
Yeah.
We've already been pursuing this. We had very, very heated debate in my committee.
Yeah.
Uncle Francis got very ridiculed by not only me, but by some of the others. And the worries on all this money and time that's been wasted on this $40 million admin building. And I reassured him that, I told him to his face last year that, aren't you sure you guys don't want to wait on this until new council comes in? Because what happens if you do all this work, spend all this time, new council comes in, we rescind it, it's wasted time, wasted money. So there's a lot more going on. They're in the A&E design, the architect and engineering design. We found out there was a PO for $2,340,000 that was to be paid to this Architects West. And so I've been doing my homework, I've been investigating, I got all the paperwork.
Like you're saying, you gotta see who the hell those vendors are on the outside that those people are interfacing with, that's costing us money really in the long run, and what's down there, it'll come out of our pockets.
So we actually took ORA and we called them in the same day. We asked for an ORA reservation attorney review. They got back to us today when me and John and Lynn were meeting, and we're obligated to some money. I think it's $83,000. But we told Francis and them that we want to stop at $82,000. And it's wasted money, but I figured we're saving the tribe $28 million from 40. And so to elaborate a little more, the 40 million was rescinded, but we put a cap on it at 12 million, up to 12 million. And so that's why I say 28, because we need a building that got burnt down. We gotta have some place to go.
I saw 3 different proposals for buildings over there, and all of them are Taj Mahals, those 3 of them I saw. So, to me, well, they were making a footage study, a personnel, a footage study for what they're putting in, equipment and all that while I was there. But to me, that's just too damn big. Really, I built those things for people on the outside.
Go ahead, John.
Well, one of the things that we wanted to address too, going forward when we have our next community development meeting, is that we want to make sure that we have a project engineer representing the tribe
Yeah.
that can go through and look at the proposal, look at all the steps of the way. So, and we've had discussions about this.
Yeah.
We need an engineer on our side,
Right.
you know, that can be the watchdog.
Yeah, they have to
Essentially.
have them. That's what I did on the outside. That's
Mhm.
my.
When's your next community meeting?
That's next
Two
2 weeks.
Tuesdays.
Yeah, 2 Tuesdays from now.
October 8th.
When I was working on the dam down there, I was totally on my own on those 11 generators, so I worked the oversight of the Japanese. Because the United States government brought the Japanese in to redo their generators, they were Japanese generators. And all I did is oversight of the whole project to make damn sure everybody didn't try to run off the money that they weren't supposed to. And make sure the projects was safe, didn't have any bad accidents. Otherwise, I just went to oversee the main thing was safety and money. So it's not hard to do those type of things if you got a lot, you have to have a lot of experience. And you have to have a system that you can set up there right on the wall or put it on the table, and anybody come walk in and I say, here it is, because all your factors are plugged in here. And then I will explain those things to you.
Okay, so go ahead.
So if you got 28 million, let's use it for treatment center and staff.
Well, you're going right in our direction.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yes.
We've also got, not only 28, we've got 2.5% of our qualm that's,
Yeah.
human health and wellness.
How-
And I was pushing for that last year, and it kind of you know, went into mostly deaf ears, not all deaf ears, mostly
No,
deaf ears.
actually, we said we wanted data, and the Health Coalition, and where we have the research assistants, it's all been a part of the plan, so
You know, we
hopefully
can wait
that's the
for data if
direction.
we want, but in my opinion, we know there's a need. I mean, you know, the data's important, but
It
in my
helps with
mind,
planning
it's
and
very
grants.
obvious that we need one, and
Yeah.
we've got money now, and so hopefully that will be pursued. One other thing that I wanna talk about before everybody leaves is the 1%. I think most everybody knows that we did the vote at the community center at the district meeting. Everyone that was there voted 50% for the senior meal site, 50% for the youth. And so that money is just sitting there. And we need to know what you guys wanna do with the 1%, the half of the 1% for the youth.
I personally have said this here at these meetings, and I said it to all the organizations that are working with our youth. We need a youth advisory board to be able to decide what they need.
That's what I was
I mean,
gonna
that's my view, and so, but I don't know that anybody's actually
Nobody's
pursuing,
implemented
yeah,
it, no.
doing the advisory group, and I
Well,
think that
that's
that's
not
really
true.
important.
Larry Robinette,
Oh, sorry.
He
but-
tried.
Larry Robinette tried.
Yeah, okay, so Teresa's one of the people working on it.
Larry Robinette tried a couple months ago, and he said he got one response.
Well, there's groups out there already organized, and Teresa's part of it, but so is the attendance program, and so is the youth coordinators. So they need to get together and pull this advisory group together, so we hear from those youth.
I just wanna make sure that we do something with it, you know, there's no rush to spend it, but at the same time, we have no plan, we have
action
no
going.
advisory board,
Right.
you know, as Lynn states, but in my opinion, we look at all these things that we're talking about with our youth, but we got $462,000 just sitting there, and,
Could I make a
Gaining
statement
interest?
again?
go ahead, and then, huh?
Is it gaining interest while it's sitting?
Yes, it's gaining interest, and what I've been fighting for, and I talked to David Osenga, I talked to Billy Nicholson, how it sits right now, each district's 1% is all in a one lump sum. But my problem is that when certain districts start spending their money, well, when they start spending that money, how do we know, how do you split the
Interest.
The interest?
Right.
And so I've been pushing, trying to get them all in separate accounts, so that if Nispiel's spending theirs $150,000, which they are on renovating their center, I wanna make sure that our interest doesn't go to them.
Where are those accounts at? In a bank
In
or
a
something?
bank.
Oh, in the bank.
Key bank, yeah.
Go ahead, Marcy.
Well, you know, if we have this money set aside and we can get it separated, and we're taking time to get a plan, can't we get grant writers in to use that as matching funds? So that instead of us
Yeah, we
having
can.
four
That's why
sixty-two,
that-
we have
yes.
900,000?
That's why.
And
the
that's
data is
actually
gonna
already
be
in
part
the
of it.
works. Lisa True, our grant writer, is actually pursuing that, and that's one of the options that I talked to her about, is using that as matching or whatever to try to get grants so we can get more money, so we're not just stuck on the 462,000 or 480.
What about,
Ed,
Okay.
I'm sorry,
The point I wanna make, the same thing I made to those architects and engineers that we got doing the hall right now, is when you got money set aside like that, and so we better have, like you're saying, to have a committee or something, because that goes in your proposal as to how the design's gonna be, and you don't want a lot of people, because in the past, because we weren't organized properly in engineering and that type of thing, people started adding things or taking things away from the design concept as we went along, then we eventually end up spending a hell of a lot of money we didn't have to correct things. So that's my statement.
Okay,
Okay.
Lana.
I wanna know what you guys are gonna, we need this gym over here fixed. We need it destroyed, taken down, or what? We need, and that will help our kids
Okay,
to have more of a better,
just to refresh your memory, last fall, I directed Paul Tillman to go in and do an analysis on the existing facility. She's talking about the old original gym. They looked at the asbestos, mold, did all the testing, contracted a guy come in, less than 1%. Originally, I was against demolishing the gymnasium, and the reason I was against demolishing it, because I feel like that thing sat there for 20 years and no one's done nothing with it. Now I look at it like, if they go and get rid of the whole thing, we're not gonna get anything to replace it. And so that was my fear. There's no secret that we need a second gym. We've got over 100 kids in there from 3:30 to 4:30 during the winter. You got 12 teams that are in there all fighting for the same gym time. I know, because I volunteer and I coach. I get half a gym. So I get half court, somebody else on the other half. You got people running up and down the sidelines. So try to coach a constructive and get your kids to learn, teach them discipline and all these things. It doesn't work. So I was pushing really hard for not demolition but renovation of the gym. But Paul Tillman did bid estimates, and it almost cost as much to go in and redo what it is as it is to tear the thing down. And so I'm sitting there, and that kind of slowly got me to go the other way. It's like, well, maybe we should just tear it down and then reinvest into a new facility. So, and then the other thing is that Lisa True is also working on a block grant, and and so like the whole tribe, all the different programs can all compete for the same block grant, but we've come to an agreement that they're gonna apply for it for this. So that's a good thing.
That's a multi-purpose building too,
Yeah.
that's something to
Yeah.
think about and look at, because there's probably things even we haven't even thought of yet, going into the future that we could use that building for.
Well,
Maybe
you know,
it's not in use.
my thing too is not only as a gymnasium, but for the elders, you know, and getting that weight room from upstairs
Yeah, right.
down to a floor level facility.
Right.
I wish they could build a swimming pool.
Wouldn't that be nice?
We would get recalled for that,
I used to go to the
Nancy.
real big swimming down there for 2 years in a row.
Yeah,
That was
exactly.
awesome.
Yeah.
That was
You know-
very awesome.
She's on something. It would make more sense to have a swimming pool in a community center than it
Yes.
would in an admin building.
And it's good exercise for seniors.
It is,
Our
it's
rules.
perfectly, yeah.
Actually,
No,
there's a
Aerobics for
proposal.
I want
elders.
a big hot tub with a bottle
I
of
done
wine.
it 2 years, I done it 2 years and I
You
enjoyed
could
it.
have a FEMA offices.
Oh, we can take our
Yeah, just
admin.
set the little, the trailers side by side, okay, then this is Omak, and this is Ichulium, and this is,
Well, we joked about that, we put about 4 of them together, that'd be our new casino.
But the diabetic program,
Their new admin
Every morning,
Because they were
7 to
sitting
8,
there
you go down there.
Can I ask you one
Something.
thing? Could you give me a rundown to the, whenever I see you, I ask you this point, but how is our logging operation, our mill operation going over here?
It's having some fits and starts getting going, and there's some problems with getting the logging contract moving with forestry, and there's a lot of back and forth that's going on. So CTFC right now is trying to bring the council in and nail BIA, and you get them to start cutting more, and but part of it is, you know, CTFC, when they signed that deal, they promised to do this.
That's right.
They promised they had the capacity to do this, and now they gotta live up to that end of the deal, so, yeah.
Can I ask you then, what's the penalty on that? Because, you know, when they're wasting our time if we aren't getting a penalty, you know.
Well, my opinion is before the Atlas deal was ever signed, we should have made sure that forestry and BIA was on board so that we knew we could make our quota. They're requiring 19 million between now and February, and once there was old logging contracts that have been sitting on the shelf since 08 or 09. Okay, so then the BIA forestry goes, okay, so they moved it forward and gave it to the corporation, but none of them logging units were marked.
Okay.
Well, that's just one of the deals.
Here's the thing,
it's-
I really want you
so
guys to
much.
listen to what I gotta say here now, because it's liability. And
Oh, yeah.
because of these things, and because we didn't argue those points, and remember, I already raised hell about it over here
Yeah, you did.
before we got there. And the point is, will these guys come back and say, okay, well, you didn't furnish this, now I'm gonna submit a bill to you guys, and you owe me this much money, and if you don't, I'm walking out of here.
I'm pretty sure there's gonna be penalties, but I'm glad you brought up the bills. Last fall, we had a retreat in Buttercup Lane over to Inchland. And we had a CTEC board that was still in cahoots at that time, right? Okay, so as full council during the retreat, we said, you know what, we're tired of that mill being mothballed. It's like $1.9 million as it sits for security,
And it's costing you
all
money.
these people. So anyways, we did a vote. We said, scrap that thing, get it out of here. You got the environmental issues that you talked about. We said, we're tired of forking this bill, $1.9 million. So we voted on it, said, get rid of the mill, get done with it, it's over. About 4 months went by, nothing was being done. And certain council were stalling so that this Atlas deal, because everybody was against the Atlas deal. So they
And I
kept
was
stalling
too.
and stalling and stalling until they got the Atlas deal signed. So then I said, oh man, we don't have to scrap it out now. Okay, so what happened then is after 4 months of being mothballed as far as the scrapping, they finally started scrapping certain parts of the mill, like the scrap metal. They started taking some of the equipment and scrapping it out. Atlas had a lot of that equipment inventoried on their list, okay? So Joe Sonday and I go meet with Atlas over here and have breakfast across town here at Magoo's, and I was really embarrassed that the Atlas people are coming and they go, well, you know what? Because they came and signed a contract, they went back to Oregon, wherever they're from. They come back up, a lot of this equipment's gone. And they had it marked, they had an inventory on their list, and they're like, well, we just want you to know that there was a Wagner and there was this other things, and they're gone. And so I was embarrassed as a leader. We're trying to do business with these outside non-tribal people. And so I went back and I started an email train or whatever to certain council, and me and the current chairman were just like going like this. I said it was embarrassing, it's bad business. You know, it makes us look like we're not trustworthy. So they assured me that this Wagner, this first piece of equipment, it was on blocks, it was blowing oil everywhere, it wasn't even worth $5. And so I said, that's not the point. And I said, I guarantee you it's worth more than $5. So later on, a couple months ago, they had a board meeting out in Spokane at the Quest, and they had casino, they had all the admin, all these things on. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna go. So I went. There was 8 council there. Joe Pocotis announced that the board got a bill from Atlas for this missing inventory for $300 and some thousand. And so I says, you know, I said, I remember when I brought this up that was wrong, and people were jumping me for speaking out about it. And so anyways, it went from a $300,000 bill. Joe and them worked out some kind of a deal, took a piece of equipment from the Precision Pine, transferred it back to the Atlas. They got it down to $125,000. So now in November and December, $60,000 and $65,000 is coming right off the top from our stumpage. And I said, come on now, we don't want to start $125,000 in the hole, guys. So that's the lowdown.
And there again,
management.
both of you, I think, remember when I requested, I went over to the meeting when you first talked to those guys, and I said, I want to look at that damn proposal. Because that's the most important thing when you're starting a new business, is a proposal. And nobody ever asked me to come over and sit down and look at the damn thing. Here I got all this experience, I could sit down and I could start looking at things. Don't take me very long to see how it's structured, whether you're gonna have problems with it. And so I felt real bad that somebody didn't have me come over and look at that, because you guys got to answer to things, and you're right now. So what happened to you? You got into a position, but you're not the only one. There's some other people involved in this thing, and somebody's going to be accountable for it.
I just want you to know that sometimes decisions are made at that table, and you know as well as I do, it takes 7 people to pass something.
That's right.
A lot of times, we're on the opposite side, but it still gets passed, and then like you said, we gotta come answer to you.
That's right.
Mandy.
A couple of years ago, I was at a meeting when Joe Pocotis was there, and it was when the mill first shut down. And a bunch of equipment disappeared then, and we're talking like $50,000 pieces of equipment. Nobody was held liable then either. And so I don't understand how we're paying for security, we're paying for lighting, and we have stuff that disappeared when the mill first shut down, and we're still having stuff disappear. Whether it's working, not working, that's not the issue. So who's accountable for all this? Why isn't anybody being exactly held for this? Where's the cameras? Where's the security when this stuff is happening?
Well, they
They knew.
like I said, they used that they used that consensus that we did at the Buttercup that said that they could scrap the mill, and I supported that. I didn't say scrap the inventory, I said scrap the mill. So they waited for 3-4 months, signed the Atlas deal, C-Tech owed a bill to the tribe, so they went in, scrapped out all this equipment so that they could pay off the tribe.
See, it was a planned deal, it wasn't somebody, they didn't disappear, this equipment did not
Just took
disappear, it was,
one-
yeah.
One place. and-
It was a sneaky little plan is what it was.
They were doing 2 shifts out of that mill for scrapping, one during the day shift, one during the night shift. They contracted with a company out of Moses Lake that was on TV, been sued by 6 different people for fraud. So yeah,
Oh.
they're gonna give you the most per ton. They're the highest bidder. Well, you know why? Because when they haul it out, they're not paying you for what they're actually taking. So, yeah.
I was just curious about, if the reservation could take, 20 million a year. Is that what the contract was for?
The Board of Feet?
Contract's for 40 million.
40 million board
a year.
feet.
Oh
And,
my.
Is that a
and-
year?
Yep.
Yes.
In the IRMP, the Integrated Resource Management Plan, they, and they're really conservative, is 70. So we can safely cut 70 a year. And over the last 4 years, I think we've cut a total of 15.
Right.
So we
Oh,
haven't
we're
been
behind.
even close. So there's all kinds of management issues. Once we cut, we take from stumpage and we can do all kinds of treatment to the forest to keep it in good health. We haven't had that money to keep the forest in good health, so it's becoming a cyclical thing that's compounding itself. The forest health is going down, but it's growing and growing.
And I think when he says the forest is going down, our mortality rate from the bug kill, from the pine beetle, and what's the other one called? Spruce.
Spruce bug.
The mortality as it was sitting and hardly doing little to no logging was more than we were actually bringing to the mill. So we were just letting our wood die.
Yeah, I understand the bug kill.
And
That part I.
it's bad, I mean, you don't go into the meadows, but they're concentrating in those certain areas and trying to, I don't think they said they'll have to control the bug, but at least try to slow it down.
Is it the BIA is still in charge of these projects like you're talking about?
So we fight every single
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Okay, and the BIA, I
resources.
do know because I was married to a BIA. He wasn't a forester, but he was a forestry tech. And he used to get so frustrated with the foresters and the different departments that are in charge of different things going on in the forest. He said he would have to go out and run lines for different logging units. And he says a lot of these things that there's other departments that's supposed to be doing their part was not getting done, and that was your foresters. Okay, and it's like a vicious
It's a
circle.
blame game.
And then they're not doing their paperwork properly, so you're losing a lot of information there that has to do with your logging.
That's why
Like
we
you
lose
said.
sleep at night.
So you're losing money.
Yeah.
That's my biggest thing about dealing with people on the outside is they do things professionally, and they're gonna maximize on their profits. However, you know, that's how you have to look at the white man and those outside contractors. You
That's how you
can't
have
call
to look
it,
at the board of
well, you
directors.
can't look at them and say they're dishonest, because they're gonna stay at that margin in those contracts where they're being realistic about where they're going, really. So,
Well,
that's why I'm really scared about when we get into deals that we don't have professional engineers sit down with you guys going over those proposals.
We got that message, you hear it from us now, we're pushing for the engineer, I think that that's something really important.
Okay, I'm gonna change the subject real quick. You went to training last month.
Which one, what
I
training?
believe it was OSPI, was that what it was?
Oh, no, I didn't go to
You didn't-
I don't go to training, I go to tribal consultation for the Department of Education.
Oh, look at her.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it was about the kids, and we've talked about the Boys and the Girls Club, and you guys were doing your own little thing, so I was wondering where that head went to, 'cause I'm still waiting.
Well, actually, we have a proposal to present at the next Education Employment Committee. We had planned to propose it in the budget this year, that we actually host and sponsor a Native American Boys and Girls Club. we thought maybe we created a task force that was supposed to prioritize where we wanted this to go. Actually, Insulum has a community center director that actually has been trained in the Boys and Girls Club program, philosophy trained. She's, visited different sites. I actually have a PowerPoint that I'll be presenting. They're ready to go. She has money that she put aside to get the program up and going, but the goal was to do this before the budget, and the budget went through, so that means that there's no money there for the Native American Boys and Girls Club. So it's unfortunate, but I'm hoping that we can change the Chair of Education and Employment's vote to bring this back, and so that we can reprioritize these programs that we think that are going to benefit, our youth. So yeah, but it was a very awesome visit, and the Tulalip tribe has had a Boys and Girls Club for over 20 years. They have taken a facility like our community center, and they've actually expanded it, built. You walk into the door of their Boys and Girls Club. They have a technology center. They have a room, of upgraded computers that are connected with a lot of the oceanography work in the University of Washington. So there's a lot of science, a lot of lab work that goes on in there with these kids. Next to that is a room, it's a music room. So you walk in, it's about this size, and they have like a corner of electric guitars and string guitars and, different drums and clarinets and trumpets, and then they have this, again, a computer system so that they can learn to read the music. It's really cool. They have another room of it's a reading and writing and homework room, and it's got a library on it. So kids are going in there and they have tutors. There's actually a certified teacher there for their kids to do tutoring. They have a number of other projects, a cultural art room. So they're doing everything from masks, baskets, regalia. They have a gymnasium and sports activities are going on. They have a lunch room, so kids are getting 3 meals a day if they're during the summer, or during the school year they get breakfast, and the school buses pick them up there. They have after school activities. So
They got everything. They covered it. They covered it.
It's awesome.
You have a good night.
Yeah. So anyway, that's it. That's
All right. Are we done? I'm gonna.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Take care.